Let me guess. You're sitting there, staring at your phone again, aren't you? Screen lighting up every few minutes. But it's never her. No call, no message, no I miss you. She didn't block you. She didn't say goodbye. She didn't even offer you the courtesy of closure. She just vanished. Like a ghost slipping out the back door, leaving you with nothing but unanswered questions and that heavy sinking feeling in your chest. Now you're stuck in that brutal mental loop, aren't you? The one where you keep asking yourself the same exhausting questions over and over. Is she really done? Or is she just waiting for me to crack? I get it, brother. That space between silence and closure. It's like purgatory. It feels like you're being punished for a crime you didn't even commit. You want to do something, say something, fix something, but how do you fix what you can't even see? How do you repair something when you don't even know what's broken? But let me give you something better than false hope. Let me give you what most men don't have in this situation: clarity. Because here's the truth they don't tell you. Silence doesn't always mean she's done with you. Sometimes silence is strategy. Sometimes it's a test. Sometimes it's her way of watching you from a distance, measuring your reaction, seeing what you're really made of. And if you don't know how to move in that silence, if you crumble, beg, chase, you hand over your power without even realizing it. You show her and yourself that your peace, your strength, your identity, they all hinge on her attention. And that's not the man you want to be. Point 1. She wants to see if you collapse the moment her attention disappears. See, the silence? It's not always meant to push you away. Sometimes it's meant to expose you, to show her how quickly you fall apart when she stops feeding you emotional oxygen. You remember how it was. The good morning texts that made you smile, the late night calls that made you feel wanted, those little sweet validations sprinkled throughout your day. Now, nothing. Just silence, and you feel that void more than you ever thought possible. But here's the part most guys miss. She's not doing this to be cruel. She's doing it to see, to observe, to figure out who you are without her applause. Are you the kind of man who completely ties his mood, his stability, his self-worth to whether or not she replies? Do you unravel the second she vanishes, or do you stay grounded? Do you hold your frame? Because the harsh truth is, most men don't know how to sit still in uncertainty. They panic, they chase, they send desperate texts, they lose themselves. But the man who can sit in silence, who can breathe through the unknown, who can hold his peace when everything feels like it's falling apart, that man becomes dangerous. Not dangerous to her, dangerous to the weak, needy version of himself that used to depend on constant validation to feel whole. That's the man she's curious about. That's the man she's secretly hoping to see. And whether she admits it or not, her silence isn't random. It's deliberate, because your reaction in that silence, it speaks louder than any words you could ever send. Point 2. She's trying to confirm if her absence controls your identity. You might not even realize it, but right now, she's watching. Not your words, not your posts, your life. She's quietly observing to see if your sense of self depends entirely on her presence. Because here's what happens to a lot of men. The second she goes silent, they crumble. Appetite gone, sleep broken, gym forgotten, hustle dead. They stop showing up for themselves because her voice, her attention, her presence, that was their fuel. Without it, they're lost. And whether you see it or not, that's not love. That's not loyalty. That's emotional dependency. And no matter how romantic the movies make that sound, in real life, it's unattractive. It's weak. It screams, without you, I am nothing. But the man who keeps showing up, the man who still hits the gym, still grinds, still evolves, still wakes up and handles his business, even with the silence echoing in his ears, that man flips the script. That's when the silence starts to lose its power over you. That's when it shifts from uncertainty to clarity, from weakness to strength. She may have stepped out of the room, brother, but the light inside you, it's still on. That's what separates a man she forgets from a man she respects, even from across the distance. Quick break. Close your eyes for a second. Picture her, the girl you've always wanted. Feel what it would be like to actually have her. Now open your eyes, because here's the truth. Right now, you're invisible to her. You're getting outcompeted by guys with more money, better looks, higher status, and stronger game. You're playing a rigged game, and you're losing, but I've spent the last 35 years mastering this, studying, testing, and finally finding the secrets to get the girls I always wanted. You want to stop getting ignored? You want her chasing you? Then you need to wake up and act. Click the link in the comments if you are truly committed and take the first step toward becoming that guy. Few spots left. Be fast or miss out your last chance to make her yours. Let's get back to it. Point 3. She's creating distance to see what you do with it. Some women don't use silence to punish you. They use it to create space, not just to test you, but to test themselves. When she pulls back, disappears, or suddenly becomes quiet, it's not always because she's over you or because she's moved on. Sometimes she's sitting with her own uncertainty, her own questions. She wants to know if she truly matters to you. But more than that, she wants to see how you handle being left with a question instead of a clean, packaged answer. This is where most men fall apart. The moment they feel that distance, the cold space where her attention used to be, they panic. They flood her phone with texts, typing out long emotional paragraphs, trying to explain themselves, to fix things, to beg for clarity. They call over and over, their anxiety driving them to action, thinking if they just say the right thing, send the perfect message, she'll return. But here's the harsh reality. When you respond to silence with desperation, you only confirm her doubts. You don't pull her closer, you push her further away. What most men never realize is, sometimes what she's really looking for is to see if you'll respect that emotional space, if you'll breathe, if you'll lean back instead of chasing. Not because you're playing games, but because you understand that your peace doesn't depend on her presence. Chasing a woman who deliberately created space is like sprinting after someone who hit pause on the movie. She didn't stop the film, she didn't end the story, she simply pressed pause. And in that pause, she's watching. She wants to see how you move when you think nobody's paying attention. This is your defining moment. If you can sit still, stay composed, focus on your growth, your purpose, your alignment, you win. Not because you got her back, but because you didn't lose yourself trying to pull her closer. That's what makes you powerful in the silence. It's not about playing it cool. It's about being cool. It's about knowing that no matter what happens next, you're still standing, still building, still grounded. And that quiet confidence speaks louder than any words ever could. Point 4. She's watching for emotional control, not emotional confusion. Let's be real for a second. Most guys, when hit with silence, completely lose their composure. The moment the texts stop, the replies fade, and the silence stretches out longer than they expected, they unravel. They get emotional, they lash out over text, sending angry, desperate messages, or worse, they start posting cryptic quotes and sad song lyrics on social media, secretly hoping she'll see it and come running back. But here's the truth that stings. That behavior doesn't pull her closer. It doesn't make her miss you. It only confirms that her silence has complete control over you. It shows her that your emotions, your confidence, your sense of stability, all of it falls apart the moment she goes quiet. But what she actually respects, even if she never admits it, is restraint. She notices when you don't lose your frame, when you don't beg, when you don't perform, when you don't fish for pity or play emotional chess. She pays attention to the man who can sit in discomfort, who can feel the sting of uncertainty and still keep his head clear and his energy grounded. You might think she's not paying attention, but trust me, brother, she feels it. Even in silence, she feels it. And that's the moment the tables quietly start to turn. When you respond to her silence with stability, with quiet strength, with patience, that's when the thought creeps into her mind. That small, unsettling question. Did I just lose something I didn't fully understand? That's not you manipulating her. That's not games. That's you standing so solid in your own worth that her silence doesn't shake you. And that unshakable energy, that's what makes a man unforgettable. Point 5. She's trying to see if you're going to mirror her behavior or master your own. This part is subtle, but it matters more than most men realize. When she pulls away, when her energy changes, when the conversations dry up and the attention fades, she's watching. Not just to see if you notice, but to see how you respond. Are you going to pull away too? Are you going to match her energy out of pride, out of ego, just to prove that you can play the same game? Or are you going to rise above it and stay true to yourself, regardless of what she's doing? Because mirroring someone's silence out of ego is still just another form of reaction. You're not leading, you're not grounded, you're just moving based on what they do, like a puppet on a string. And trust me, she can sense that. But staying calm, staying consistent, not to manipulate her, not to bait her, but because you've built real emotional discipline, that's different, that's rare. That's the energy that makes her stop and wonder. And this is the part that shifts everything. She starts to question the silence. She starts to wonder, is he quiet because he's hurt or because he's healed? Because there's a world of difference between the two. If your silence is built on bitterness, on pain, on confusion, she'll feel that energy even if no words are spoken. But if your silence comes from peace, from confidence, from knowing your worth doesn't rise or fall based on her actions, she'll feel that too. The energy never lies. And here's the beauty of it. The truth is, so will you. When your silence is no longer a reaction, but a reflection of your growth, you stop playing games, you stop chasing, you stop needing to prove anything, you just exist in your strength. And in that space, you win, with or without her. Point 6. She's testing whether her silence rewrites your story or strengthens it. When a woman suddenly goes quiet, it feels exactly like someone closing a book mid-chapter. One moment, you're in the middle of something, the conversations, the connection, the little rituals, and the next, it's as if the pages just stopped turning. And now, she's watching, whether consciously or subconsciously, to see what you do next. Do you sit there frozen, staring at the last sentence, waiting, hoping, stuck in the loop of what happens now? Or do you pick up the pen and write a new chapter, one that isn't defined by her presence or her silence? See, most men get trapped on that paused page. They replay the moments over and over, analyzing every word, every glance, every message. They stop evolving. They put their life on hold, paralyzed by uncertainty, waiting to be rescued by her reply. But that, whether you realize it or not, is the real test hidden in the silence. The question isn't, does she come back? It's, are you defined by this woman or by your mission? Because the moment you stop waiting to be saved by her voice, the moment you let go of the desperate need for closure and instead focus all that energy on creating your next level, that's when everything shifts. The story changes. The old version of you, the man who was needy, uncertain, desperate for answers, fades away. And the new version, the one who rose out of that silence, that version of you, he's the one nobody can ghost again, because that version isn't waiting for a text. He's building, he's growing, he's becoming. And whether she comes back or not, your story keeps moving forward with strength, with purpose, with clarity. Point 7. She's unsure herself, and silence becomes her shield against vulnerability. What many men fail to see is that her silence isn't always some cold, calculated move or a strategic power play. Sometimes it's rooted in fear, a deep, raw fear that if she reaches out first, she'll appear weak or desperate. Fear that if she breaks the silence, she might not hear the words she's secretly longing for. Fear that by admitting how much she cares, she's exposing herself to hurt and rejection. So instead of risking that vulnerability, she pulls back and retreats into silence. She hides not because she lacks feelings, but because she feels too much, too deeply, too intensely, and sometimes too painfully. This silence is her way of protecting herself from getting hurt, of avoiding the uncomfortable reality that she might be the only one holding on. But here's where most men go wrong. They take her silence personally. They let it twist into confusion, frustration, or even anger. They feel abandoned, unimportant, or rejected, and their instinct is to chase, to push, to demand answers or explanations. But chasing her silence won't bring clarity or connection. It only risks pushing her further away, intensifying her fear and retreat. The wiser path, the one few men choose, is to give her the space she needs without taking it as a reflection of your worth. It means growing your own strength during this pause. It means leading your own life with purpose and confidence, independent of her presence or absence. It means holding your peace when the silence feels heavy and uncertain, trusting that your value doesn't depend on her words or her attention. And here's the powerful truth. Whether she ever speaks to you again or stays silent forever, you are still winning, because you're becoming the kind of man who can sit with silence without falling apart inside, the kind of man who doesn't need constant validation or explanations to feel whole, the kind of man who embraces uncertainty with patience, resilience, and calm. That kind of inner strength is rare. It's transformative. It separates the men who get stuck in pain and confusion from those who rise above and grow through it. It's not just about surviving the silence, it's about thriving in it, letting it shape you into someone unshakable. And when you reach that place, silence no longer controls you. Instead, it becomes a space where you build your own power, your own peace, and your own future, regardless of whether she ever returns or not. Point 8. She wants to know if you can hold peace without her participation. This is the final and perhaps the most crucial test. What if she never texts again? What if she never explains her silence, never comes back, never offers a reason? In that moment, the real question is, can you still rise? Can you find peace within yourself, independent of her presence or absence? Because if your sense of peace depends on waiting for her reply, if it hinges on her acknowledgement or approval, then you're not truly at peace. You're just distracted, caught in a loop of longing and uncertainty. Her silence is designed to see if you can build your life in the dark, if you can show up every day, fully present, without needing her applause in the crowd. That kind of peace is rare, it's powerful, it's undeniable. It's the kind of peace that cannot be shaken by absence or rejection because it's rooted deep within you, not in external validation. And here's the truth, whether she returns or stays gone, she'll always remember the man who didn't flinch. Not because he was cold or indifferent, but because he was centered, grounded in himself, steady in his worth, and unwavering in his strength. So brother, the next time silence hits you like a punch in the chest, don't rush to fix it. Don't spiral into doubt or desperation. Don't beg or chase after answers that might never come. Instead, pause, take a breath, ask yourself, who am I when no one is clapping? Because this isn't just about her, it's about who you become in her absence. The man who can sit in silence and still feel strong, still hold his center, that man becomes unforgettable. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you being here. If this message spoke to you or gave you something to think about, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new drop. I've got more real talk, more growth, and more power coming your way. So stay locked in. And if you're going through something right now, just remember, your silence can say more than 1,000 words ever could. Take care of yourself, keep rising, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.